America. Land of the free, home of the political parties. Yeah, it might seem weird now, but the founding fathers didn't actually want political parties. They thought it would lead to division and chaos. Turns out, they were kinda right. Even before the Constitution was ratified, folks like Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson were already forming different groups with different ideas about how the government should work. Hamilton and his buddies, the Federalists, wanted a strong central government. They believed in a powerful national bank and a focus on manufacturing and trade. Jefferson, on the other hand, wasn't so keen on big government. He and his crew, the Democratic Republicans, favored more power to the states and a focus on agriculture. They thought the little guy, the farmer, should be at the heart of American democracy. These early disagreements weren't just polite debates over tea and crumpets. These guys were throwing serious shade in pamphlets and newspapers. They even spread rumors about each other. The birth of American politics was basically a 1700s version of a Twitter war, just with fewer emojis and more powdered wigs. So, the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans were like the original Coke and Pepsi of American politics. They dominated the early years, battling it out for control of the government. The Federalists snagged the first few presidencies with George Washington and John Adams, but the Democratic Republicans, with their man-of-the-people vibe, gained a lot of support. They tapped into the anxieties of farmers and workers who felt ignored by the Federalist elite. It was like a political rom-com, the underdog charming their way to the top. And charm they did. Thomas Jefferson, the OG Democratic Republican, won the presidency in 1800. This election was a major turning point. It was a peaceful transfer of power between opposing parties, something pretty rare back then. It proved that the US could, disagree without descending into total anarchy. The Federalist Party eventually faded away, but its ideas about a strong national government didn't completely disappear. They would pop up again later, like that friend who always forgets their wallet when you go out to eat. By the 1820s, the political landscape was changing again. The Democratic-Republicans split, with Andrew Jackson leading a faction that eventually became the Democratic Party we know, and sometimes love today. Jackson was all about expanding voting rights, for white men at least, and sticking it to the elites. He was basically the Bernie Sanders of his time, but with a worse temper and a questionable stance on Native American rights. Opposing the Democrats was a mishmash of groups who really disliked Andrew Jackson. They eventually formed the Whig Party, named after a British political party that opposed absolute monarchy. The Whigs wanted a strong national government, sound familiar, and supported policies like national banking and infrastructure projects. They were like the party of, we should probably build some more roads, which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly make for a thrilling campaign slogan. The Democrats and Whigs spent the next few decades duking it out, with each party holding the presidency for a while. But the issue of slavery cast a long shadow over everything. The Whigs were deeply divided on the issue, and their inability to take a clear stance ultimately led to their downfall. It turns out, trying to please everyone pleases no one, especially in politics. As the 1850s rolled around, the issue of slavery reached a boiling point. The Whig Party, unable to bridge the gap between its pro-slavery and anti-slavery factions, crumbled like a stale cookie. Rising from the ashes was a new party, the Republicans. Formed in 1854, the Republicans were united by their opposition to the expansion of slavery. They attracted a diverse group of members, from former Whigs to anti-slavery Democrats to members of the short-lived Free Soil Party. They were like the Avengers of 1850s politics, assembling to fight the evil of slavery. The Republican Party quickly gained traction, and in 1860, a lanky lawyer from Illinois named Abraham Lincoln became the first Republican president. The rest, as they say, is history. Lincoln led the Union to victory in the Civil War, abolished slavery, and cemented the Republican Party as a major force in American politics. The decades following the Civil War saw significant changes in American society and, you guessed it, its political parties. The Republicans, initially the party of anti-slavery and Reconstruction, became associated with big business and industrial growth. They championed laissez-faire economics and were seen as the party of the wealthy elite. The Democrats, meanwhile, struggled to find their footing after the Civil War. They remained the party of the common man, but their platform was a hodgepodge of regional interests and often contradictory policies. Then came Teddy Roosevelt. This Rough Rider-riding, trust-busting Republican shook things up. He believed in using government power to regulate corporations and protect consumers. He was like the original progressive, fighting for things like environmental conservation and workers' rights. But the real game-changer for the Democrats came with the Great Depression. As the economy went into freefall, people started questioning the Republican Party's hands-off approach. Enter Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR as the cool kids called him. FDR's New Deal programs, designed to pull the country out of the Depression, fundamentally reshaped the role of government and the Democratic Party. Social Security, unemployment benefits, and massive public works projects, these were all part of FDR's plan to get America back on its feet. He basically hit the reset button on the relationship between the government and the people. The New Deal brought together a diverse coalition of voters under the Democratic banner: labor unions, urban workers, African Americans, and Southern farmers. The Solid South, once a Democratic stronghold because of the Civil War, now supported the party because of FDR's economic policies. The Democrats became the party of the working class, the party of government intervention in the economy, and the party of social welfare programs. This realignment defined American politics for decades and set the stage for the two-party system we know today. So here we are in the 21st century, staring at a political landscape that feels more like a Jackson Pollock painting than a Norman Rockwell. The two-party system is still alive and kicking, but the parties themselves have undergone some serious makeovers. The Democrats have embraced a more progressive platform, championing issues like climate change, LGBTQ+ rights, and income inequality. They've become the party of diversity and social justice, attracting a younger and more diverse electorate. The Republicans, meanwhile, have shifted to the right, embracing a more conservative ideology focused on smaller government, traditional values, and a strong national